Just take good notes. Take good notes. Gotta do it again here. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. I'm going to skip in the agenda a little bit, the approval of the minutes, because we have to, there is going to be some amendments to the minutes of last time. I just like the secretary, we have attendance.
Yep.
I'm looking around. I'm going to declare quorum. We do have quorum here this evening. We also are going to take out of order, if it's okay with this commission, and go right to the dog park, because I know a lot of people are here this evening for that. First, I'd like to look for a motion. Mr. Ford? Please speak into the mic.
Does everybody on the commission have a copy? And this is in regards to the locating a dog park in Roosevelt Forest.
Do you have a copy? Here, there's copies coming around. Everybody have a copy?
You know that? Thank you. Thank you. We need little TV.
Yes, Mr. Ford?
Is everybody all set? Okay. I'd like to read this proposed resolution. Whereas the Roosevelt Forest Commission by Town Charter 52.2.2 has jurisdiction over Roosevelt Forest, whereas the Commission is looking out for the best interest of the park, its neighbors, town residents, and the environment, we, the above Commission, vote in favor of a dog park located at Roosevelt Forest of approximately 1.5 acres inside the park at the old ranger station and abutting area. We make a favorable recommendation to the Stratford Town Council with the following stipulations. 1, the ranger station must be raised. The area must be cleaned of environmental hazards. 2, a small parking area must be established in that area specifically to serve dog park patrons. 3, the dog park will have a subcommittee of the Roosevelt Forest Commission that will report to the Commission on a regular basis on matters concerning the dog park. The chair or his or her designee will sit as a member of this subcommittee. 4, the ACO/Stratford Police Department must approve this location. 5, the Town of Stratford Land Use Board, such as planning or an 824 review, conservation, and inland wetlands need to approve the location as applicable. If any of these stipulations are not adhered to, as a vote with the Town Council, the affirmative vote will be vacated and the matter should be referred back to the Roosevelt Forest Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. I'm looking for a second on the motion.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded by Mr. Chase, who is sitting in for Councilman Llewellyn, and that notice has been given to the chair. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chase.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as you know, this is back before the Roosevelt Forest Commission. I voted in favor to return it to the Roosevelt Forest Commission because it was unclear to me during the council meeting whether action pro or con was taken. I'm glad that you called this meeting, and I look forward to a quick passage of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Yes. Here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to address the fact that this came before us several years ago as far as dog park being located in the forest. We had discussed it as a commission, not voted on, but discussed. And we were of the opinion then that a dog park does not benefit the forest. Let me just say as an aside, I'm a dog owner. I think it's great with the getting a dog park in the town. I'm not against any of that. But as you know, my concern is the forest. Minutes from that meeting, again, I quote Bob on that, and that it changes the dynamic of the forest. I just ask that in voting on this, people keep in mind that we will change the dynamic of the forest if we vote to have a dog park in there. Traffic, noise, fencing, odors, garbage, all those things. You really can't say to what extent that's going to happen. But the ranger station being cleaned up, yes, it's a good thing. We're not just talking remediation and restoration. We're talking remediation and development, fencing, ground clearing, tree clearing, ground cover. Changes the dynamic of the forest. Just ask that you keep that in mind. And again, not against a dog park. However, I feel as this commission, our number one goal should be protection of the forest. I do not see how this benefits the forest.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
I recall our discussion from several years ago, and the group that brought it to us at that time was looking for an area fairly close to where the pavilion is located. It would have involved clearing of some trees, would have put it kind of front and center for where most of the use of the forest occurs right now, which is near the pavilion, near the parking lot, near where we have a nexus of a variety of hiking trails. I think the proposed location helps to get around that, at least to a certain degree. The ranger station is an eyesore, and I think it's an attractive nuisance. The getting rid of the ranger station is a positive. I think one of the things that we in the commission have often bemoaned is that there's a lot of folks in town who don't take advantage of the forest. You know, in some ways that's good if you're looking at it as a place to be preserved, but it was never that way. It's not a wilderness. It's for the use of the people in the town of Stratford. And I personally would have liked to have seen it at Longbrook Park, but I'm on school vacation this week, so I was able to use time to watch the most recent town council meeting, to watch the comments that took place before it. Never thought I'd be the person who did that type of thing, but that's what I did. And I understand people don't want it in Longbrook Park. I also understand that people want it in town. And I think that it can have certainly it can have some negative impact if it draws negative attention. But frankly, I'm impressed with what the dog park subcommittee has done and the commitment they seem to have to making this work. And early on in the discussions with them, they said if it doesn't work, it will be pulled out. This is not something that has to be permanent if it's not for the good of the forest and the town of Stratford. So I think we ought to work towards making it a good part of the forest, a positive thing. Just like the youth camping areas are a positive thing, just like the redoing of the pavilion is a positive thing, just like the removal of the old Quonset hut is a positive thing, just like the marking of trails is a positive thing. I think these are all things that we can work towards. You know, if you don't have some hope that things will work well, you condemn yourself to things never working well. And I think we could take this step and then realize that it becomes part of our job to keep track of it.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Mrs. Watson, then Ms. Manis.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I actually had been on record months ago, and I want to just thank the Dog Park Commission, our subcommittee. They came and they did a wonderful presentation, and I do have 2 dogs, and I love dogs, but I did have some ecological issues with it being at Roosevelt Forest, which I was on record. I see Paula, and she's nodding. And I was concerned about the remoteness for the residents, and I was also on record of saying that there is usage of the fire range, which can limit the park. So I think we can work around those issues. What I did want to say is that I think it's time for us to move on as a community and to establish and complete a project. And I think on behalf of, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in support of the dog park being at Roosevelt Forest because I think the people want it. And I don't know where else it's going to go if we dig our heels in. And I'm a little concerned about the ranger station being raised as part of the resolution. I think that there are funds needed for that, and I heard through the grapevine perhaps there may be funds from the CIP, but I don't know that. So what I would say to Mr. David is I don't want to really hold them hostage for having this dog park built. So if you can confirm that we would not be in the way of getting this project completed, I'll be okay with that. But I do not want some kind of financial responsibility to be in the way of getting the dog park.
Okay, if I can address that, Ms. Watson, I did check with the town of Stratford, and in the CIP, and I believe, I don't want to quote the year, I believe the year was 2014, there's still $115,000 in the account to raise the building. I think that will suffice to do that. I have discussed this with Paul Lockshear in the Stratford Dog Park Committee. I have discussed this with the neighbors at Roosevelt Forest, and they are all in agreement that the ranger station must be raised to put the dog park in that location, and that is the best location. You'll have parking there. It's easily accessible. And it's definitely, I love the term in business, a win-win situation. The Roosevelt Forest Commission will get rid of a ranger station that needs to be raised. We've asked the fire department to take it down, and they can't burn it down because there's some environmentals. We will have an environmentally clean area, and it'll be safe for the dogs, it'll be safe for the residents. And again, we're not holding it hostage, it's not some ploy, their money is there. As for the land use boards planning the 824 conservation and inland wetlands, it's in the resolution, but it doesn't even need to be in the resolution. I know that. But no matter what you do, that the dog park has to go through that rigmarole anyways. I've talked to the conservation officer, who happens to be our liaison, Tina Baytow. I am still not sure, and I think she's not sure. I don't want to put words in her mouth. But the 824 review, I'm not sure if that has to happen. I do know it has to go through inland wetlands due to the waterway access. So just to answer your questions, I hope I answered them to your satisfaction.
Yes, you did. Thank you very
Thank you. Ms. Manis?
Hi. I wanted to thank the Dog Park Subcommittee again for all of your hard work. I think that I agree with Ms. Watson that this needs to happen, and all the comments that were said here I appreciate, including the ones about protecting the forest. I think that that's really important. I do agree that this is two separate asks. I think that this is about the ranger station, and the fact that the ranger station is still not done in 2014, it was in the CIP, that's a question that I wish had come up earlier from the commission, because, being new on it, we can bring that up at a council meeting and say, why isn't this being done? Because it is an eyesore, and if it's environmentally, we're talking about protecting the forest, if it's an environmental hazard, then that needs to be addressed. And the fact that it's not being addressed means that the commission, in some way, shape, or form, there's a breakdown in communication either with the council or the town isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and the council can hold them accountable. So please let us do that. If there are things that are in the forest that you want done, you have to let us know, because if 2014 is a long time to wait for something that's like that, I know that there's a bathroom that's down there, there's all kinds of things, and there's people who use that park regularly, and a lot of children's groups. Please let us know. Don't wait until this. And I don't want anyone to think that, like you said, I don't think hostage is like to tack something on because it won't get done unless we do it this way. I think that it would get done. And I think it would get done regardless if there was a dog park there. Because if I knew that it was in a CIP from 2014, that this was supposed to be getting done, I'm not too shy. I would have asked why. And this is my commission. I want to make sure that your needs are met. So please go through the list, make sure things are getting done. And if they're not, come talk to us, and we'll hold people accountable at the town council meetings. So, it exists the way it is, voted in this way, but just in the future, if there's things that need to get done, just let us know so that we can follow up. That's all.
We'll definitely talk about the beaver culvert that needs to be fixed at the end of the dog park vote, so that needs to be done. So, all right. Anyone else? I want to make sure everybody on the council, on the board speak. I'd like to call a roll call vote. I'll start with Mr. Vivacqua.
And we are voting...
For the resolution.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ford. Ellen?
Yes.
Peter?
No.
Yes.
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 The chair votes yes. It's passed. As the chair, I'd like to just take a quick moment and thank the Stratford Dog Park Subcommittee under the Parks and Rec, Paula Lockshear, Bob Jekyll, and John Rich. To say you did a yeoman's job and put together a thorough report, as someone who's been involved in politics 18 years, including the Board of Education, that's one of the most comprehensive reports I've ever seen, done by 3 volunteers. You should be proud of yourself. The town residents of Stratford should thank you very much. Thank you for all you did. We have another resolution on the table. Mr. Ford.
Roosevelt Forest Commission resolution concerning the naming of the dog park in Roosevelt Forest. Roosevelt Forest Commission favorably recommends that the dog park be named Jared's Park in memory of Jared Levine, who was a Stratford Boy Scout, member of Stratford EMS, animal advocate, and dog owner. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ford. I have a second by Ms. Manis. And just to reiterate it, and just a friendly amendment, because you want it Jared's Dog Park, right? Jared's Dog Park. So it's Jared's Dog Park in there, and so it's in there.
Do we need to amend that?
We don't. Well, yeah, just to amend that. Can you make a friendly amendment on that, Bob? Someone's got to make a motion from the floor, Bob. Or Frank, just make it.
Yes, I'd make a friendly amendment to clarify the name to Jared's Dog Park.
Second. And everybody agrees. Bob agrees. Tina agrees. That was from
It went
Frank.
Bob, me,
Where's Bob?
Frank, me.
Frank. Tina. Friendly amendment. All right. There is no public forum tonight, but the Levine family is here, and I asked I'm going to ask Mr. Levine to come up and just talk a little bit about his son, Jared.
Thank you, Mr. David, and thank you for the Roosevelt Forest Commission for approving this dog park. It's been a long time coming. My wife and I haven't been involved for the longest time, but I do want to thank the Dog Park Subcommittee, 3 fantastic people that we've met that have done an amazing job. My wife and I moved here in 1986 with our son, Jared, and we live in the north end on North Peters Lane, up the north end of the forest. So we are very familiar with what I consider to be the true jewel of Stratford. And I want to thank all of you for protecting it and making it the wonderful place it really is. And I want to thank you again also for the dog park and for naming it as Jared's Dog Park, because I take many walks through the forest. My son and I were involved in Cub Scouts there. We would walk his 6 or 8 at least rescue dogs through all the numerous trails. And it's underutilized. I mean, it's such a beautiful piece of property, and it's just such a fantastic, peaceful, scenic place to walk through. And there's times when I can walk, even this time of year, and be out there for an hour with our last surviving grandpup and not see one other person. So to me, as you mentioned earlier, Bob, this is a win-win. You're getting rid of the ranger station, you're putting a dog park up there, and you're going to bring people up there to see what a beautiful forest this is and what a beautiful, true jewel of Stratford we have up there in the north end. Our son Jared was, as I mentioned, in Cub Scouts. He was an EMT. He was in the Explorer Post in Stratford. During Bunnell High School, he was in Stratford PAL, Sterling House Soccer, so many activities we did over the years. And unfortunately, he was hit by a drunk driver almost 3 years ago and suffered a broken elbow and neck and back injuries, and he was a home improvement contractor, and he was unable to continue to work. So he passed away St. Patrick's Day of last year, which is why we got involved with this dog park and with Paula and the Dog Park Action Committee to give a donation to help build this dog park, because he would be smiling down from heaven to see that there would be a park with his name on it for all of the dog owners to come and let their dogs socialize, run free, and be as a dog should be, and not just be on the end of a leash on a sidewalk someplace. So I thank all of you. I'm hoping the town council does still find this money for the ranger station to get it moving forward. And just God bless all of you, and it's a joy to finally see something moving forward this quickly. So thank you all. Thank the Dog Park Subcommittee and Tina, and thank you for the town council support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Levine. Any other discussion? If none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much, Mr. and Ms. Levine, for coming this evening. Thank you. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Can we take a quick recess to people
Oh, yes. I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
the rest of our business?
We're in recess for 5 minutes. The November meeting.
Yeah.
And that was that we were affirmative in the vote. We were not against voting for a dog park.
Okay, wait. We were
Yeah,
not
we're not,
against.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
It's nice to have that. It's nice to have the ranger station. I thought that the land they put aside, didn't impact anything. And they do wonderful.
Are you really? Predation.
I don't know.
With their freedom they don't have.
Somebody actually
Okay. I know, right? That's it, right? Wait, are those the right things? Stand in here. Stand in here.
I'm not against the dog park draft. I've never been for a dog park draft. One of my first concerns for the forest. That's why I'm on the forest commission. Just don't think a dog park is beneficial to it. There's a quiet atmosphere in the forest. And yes, the removal of the ranger station is a good thing. I'd like to see it remain back to national state and not developed. I mean, again, my concern is only for Roosevelt Forest. I can't speak to other areas. My first concern is for the forest that's right on the street. Again, my first, I'm on this commission, when I'm on this commission, it's all about the forest. See how it benefits. Take care. Yes, I know it's going to be a problem. I'll just sit, it's like hitting a reset. I want to see that go away. Will it go away?
Well, I think when the original dog park group was looking to put it down low by the place, that really made me nervous. Then people were like, well, why isn't they just near the real? I know, because they're not going to be focused. I think where it is would be least. There is a push to have a dog park. Yeah. I think dog park, first, not wild dog park.
No problem. So someone owes me a martini. I don't know who. So
Walk at quiet times in the early.
I'm gonna wait for everybody to get back.
Because you're going to tell me what to do about the amendment?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
3 weeks. I don't know what I'll do.
No, we're gonna amend the November. We're gonna go back to the November. And I'm gonna say, Mr. Chair, do you want to talk about the November? And then I'll bring it up. That way I know what's in my head.
Okay, and I have a friend who.
Yeah, we'll fix both. We're gonna fix both. Okay. Yep. I know you. I know.
One that nobody should have let their dog run free.
No, start with Star. Start.
Oh, don't worry.
No.
Oh,
No. Oh, you have to.
I got that. Yeah.
And you got his address? Did you get his address? I'll get it. Emily Drive. Robert. Mid-20s, 30s. I don't know. If I can get all the commissioners up to the podium, that'd be great.
That was the big one.
I got to go home and watch Chop, so we got to hurry up.
I have to go watch Real Housewives.
Real Housewives, Peter. Okay.
I got my own at home.
Hey, was that a good idea to get out of order, though?
Yeah.
I hate that. When you go to a meeting, you got to wait 3 hours for your thing. It's one of those things. Okay, we're back. Is everybody up? Is everybody back here? I think I got it. Yep. We're back to order at 7:34 p.m. The approval of the minutes, I'd like to make a motion for an amendment of the minutes for November 2016 and January 2017. I'm looking for a motion.
We got a motion to amend the minutes?
Thank you. I got a motion by Mr. Vivacqua, a second.
Motion to amend the minutes.
A second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So the minutes, the November minutes, which, by the way, I will tell you, I had to go to town council and kind of explain, were incorrect. This commission, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, voted that in November that we were not against having a dog park at Roosevelt Forest. We did not vote in favor of a dog park at Roosevelt Forest, but we voted that we were not against it, and that we'd pretty much entertain a motion to have that. Does everybody else recollect the same thing I do on that? If anybody wants to elaborate, Mr. Ford?
Yeah, I think it was.
Here, to the microphone.
It was pretty clear to me at the time that what we were doing is saying it's okay to look at Roosevelt Forest as a possibility for the dog park. That's what I voted yes for. That's what we were.
Okay.
That's what we were doing.
Yeah, Ms. Watson?
Mrs. Watson just wants to state that I was at the last meeting, and I did want to amend the minutes because we did take a roll call vote. And it was Roosevelt Forest a viable location for a dog park? Whereas I made the motion, and there were 2 of us who voted no, the rest of the council agreed. Then the commission agreed. Thank you. And subsequently, and I'm sorry, but subsequently, there was an addition to the minutes that said that we, as a commission, voted unanimously for a dog park. That never happened. It came up at the last meeting. Ellen's smiling because Ellen knows that didn't happen. And I had asked to amend the minutes last month. But I am so happy to amend them this month. So yes, Mr. Chair, let's amend them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, to state, amendment to state.
Hold on, Ms. Amendments to state to that you want to, Mr. Ford, you want to, what was the wording that you used? I like your wording.
Yeah.
Make sure it's correct. That we were not, help me here.
We were voting to essentially allow Roosevelt Forest to be considered. Nobody was thinking in terms of this is our approval of putting a dog park in Roosevelt Forest.
You got this?
Mr. Chairman?
Hold on, Mr. Chase. I need my secretary to, I need the secretary to make sure we have this correct, because we,
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, to state, we were voting to allow Roosevelt Forest to be considered.
right, a viable option for a dog park. Does everybody agree with that? That's what was stated?
I will agree that we took a roll call vote to determine whether Roosevelt Forest was a viable location for a dog park.
We took a roll call vote. Fine. That's fine.
Correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I would like to make an amendment that we did not vote to unanimously agree.
No, we're not, we can't amend it. We just have to get the facts straight
That
on
never
them.
happened.
That never
Her
happened.
vote, I remember what that is. That is, at the end of the meeting, you said, we're all in favor of a dog park, right, in Stratford, and that was what it was. You said, look, I voted no, but I'm in favor of a dog park, and we're all.
Tina, you were out of the room at that point.
No, she was there.
No, but
That's
you were in
just
a,
a conversation.
I know, but
I'm just saying there wasn't a motion.
it wasn't,
At the end of the meeting, after we took a roll call vote, there was no motion. There is no motion, there's no second, there's nothing in the minutes except that it says that we unanimously voted for a dog park. So if there's no motion, there wasn't a second, it didn't exist.
okay. So this is the problem. Why don't we do this? I want to get this right. Why don't we get the minutes in Word form from November and January, send it to the committee. Yeah, I know, but the problem is I need these corrected. I need these minutes corrected, and I want to make sure, I want the minutes corrected. That's all I want to get done. But if we can't get it done right here, let's get them done before the next meeting and vote on them for the next meeting. Is that fair? That way you can look at them ahead of time, we can look at them ahead of time, and we can vote on them. Is that fair?
Well,
It's kind of a moot point, because everything's through.
only thing
I just want to correct the minutes, because I don't want this commission, we were questioned as a commission that we voted in favor of a dog park when we did not. And that's why I'm a little adamant about this, because we did not vote we were in favor of a dog
well,
park.
I remember bringing this up at the last meeting, and I wanted to amend the minutes, and I feel personally responsible that I didn't vote no to approve the minutes, because I do not believe they were a true reflection of what occurred at the previous meeting. If you want to move it forward, it's just another meeting, which I don't know why we just can't amend to strike the last phrase of the previous minutes and
Do you have
say
it?
that
Okay.
it's stricken.
And if you read the back, it reads the same way.
Do you want to take a look at this and strike what you, and make a motion on it? Fine.
I'll make a motion to strike. Okay. Where is it?
And if we can't decide this tonight, I don't mind just postponing reviewing the minutes till the next meeting. I'd rather have it right.
A motion was made by Ellen Watson and seconded by Jim Brown to recommend Roosevelt Forest be considered. That never happened. Motion
Yes.
passed.
I'd like to strike where it says, "A motion was made by Elaine Watson and seconded by Jim Brown to recommend Roosevelt Forest to be considered that the forest to be a viable location for a dog park."
Point of clarification, you're not
No,
making a motion, you're actually just amending the minutes to reflect what's correct in the thing. We're just correcting the minutes, and we're just going to vote on the minutes. So if it needs to be stricken, we just approve the minutes as,
You know what, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, but I have to say that a roll call was taken. I've seen these minutes, and it actually listed the roll call vote.
it's on the back.
Okay, sorry. Yes, correct. That was made. Here's what happened. I did make a motion, and probably Jim did second, to see if it was a viable location. But the part that should be stricken is that motion should proceed where the roll call vote was taken. This should be moved to before the list of roll call votes, and the part that should be stricken is the motion was passed unanimously. That is what should be stricken from the minutes.
Okay. We have that.
Yeah, because there's
Do you know how to correct that, Christine?
there's no vote, so here's the deal. There's no motion made before the roll call vote.
Right.
So that's what it is.
The motion has to precede the roll call vote, and then where it says unanimously,
And the motion
needs
is
to be
passed
stricken.
unanimously is stricken.
Thank you.
All right, and then the other, I have something is that committee members in attendance, I'm on the roll call vote, but I'm not listed in attendance, so I should.
Okay.
And that's it.
So, I'm just going
All
to
right.
take these.
So hold on. No, we need a
We'll talk
motion.
about
We
it.
need, we need a motion
Comment?
to correct the minutes of November 10th. What?
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
The roll call vote and the motion that followed it in the minutes, weren't they two separate issues?
No. I made a motion to see if it was a viable location, because I moved the question. Okay?
After
Even though,
we took
even though
the
I didn't
vote.
agree with the question, whether it was a viable location, I moved the question because that was the motion. We took a roll call vote. 2 of us voted no, which is stipulated in the minutes. Afterwards, it stated that it was voted on unanimously, which is not in agreement with the vote.
There was a roll call vote that went 7-2. Period. Stop. And then a motion was made. Are we in agreement as a committee that Roosevelt Forest is an option for the dog park? That's what I read there.
We did that as a roll call vote. We did that as a roll call vote. We did not afterwards make a motion or a second and vote unanimously for a dog park. You have to read the minutes.
No, that's the way I read it, that we took the vote and then...
How could a roll call have been?
Not that what the roll call I know was not unanimous, I agree.
But then, Frank, who made the motion and who made the second for the unanimous vote?
On the minutes, you made the motion after it was voted, 7-2. Okay, well then, should we recommend to town council that Roosevelt Forest is a viable option to put the park?
Okay,
And apparently we all said yes.
I'm going to leave this to the chair because I went down this rabbit hole last month and nothing happened, so I am not going to engage in this again.
Do we have a transcript? Tape or otherwise,
There was no tape.
even in here? Because we were in here.
There was no tape.
Video?
There's no video, there's no tape. So this is what I'm going to entertain, and this is what I think is the best thing at this point. Why don't we table the minutes from November and January, table the minutes, send out the minutes to everybody to make sure they're correct, and at the next meeting we vote on the minutes. That way everybody is in agreement on them. Does that sound like a solution? Because this is not, I just want to make sure we get the correct minutes going. This is why. Unless someone has... Where's Jim Brown? He's not here this evening. He couldn't make it this evening.
Right, he may have some...
Right. But Jim Brown couldn't make it this meeting, and Chuck Emerson, by the way, couldn't make this meeting as well, just FYI. And they were both...
I'm just wondering if he may offer some clarity.
He may offer some clarity, so...
Paul was there.
I know, but Mr. Chase?
Yes, this is stimulating discussion. And now you know why the council sent this back to the commission, because we couldn't figure out what the heck you guys did.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chase.
Well, Mr. Chase, yeah, and the minutes of this meeting, are being recorded. We're doing better on our, it was not done in malice, or it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's just.
With council,
let's be crystal clear. Well, there was some insinuation at council that what actually happened, what did happen. So
Where did that come from?
Yeah, there was insinuation. There was. I did not.
Well, is there a motion to table, Mr. Chairman?
I look for a motion to table the minutes.
Motion to table.
Motion to table. Second.
Second.
No discussion on the table motion. All in favor? Aye. So opposed? None. Good. So we got to fix the minutes. Yeah, we're gonna send an email. We got to fix the minutes.
Second January.
What? You can have a minute. We tabled them.
November and January minutes.
Yeah, we're just tabling the minutes because they need to be corrected. They need to be corrected.
Need to be corrected.
Yep.
Paul last year had dog parks.
Okay. Trail markers. Frank, where do we stand with trail markers?
Yes, at last meeting, we approved a budget of $1,200. See, the most markers that we can get for the $1,200.
Right.
We can get 225.
Okay.
Mark-
We know what colors we need.
We're going to get red, yellow, and orange. We'll get
Red, yellow.
75 of each.
We're not discriminating against the blue trail. We don't need blue. Okay.
We don't need blue. We
Okay.
don't need green.
I don't want to.
Yellow and orange. 75 of each.
Excellent.
Color-coded and silk-screened with the Roosevelt Forest.
Mr. Bavacqua, if you can
logo.
contact Ms. Beta to make sure we're kosher on the funds. I think we are. We're good on that. So we have money set aside.
Good, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just
Yep.
want to commend Mr. Bavacqua for doing such a great job with the trails. He's awesome.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
For the record, I carry the trail markers as he nails them into the thing. So I didn't want to say that. I'm not allowed to use the hammer anymore, right, Frank? Okay.
Your thumb is healed, hasn't it?
Both thumbs. An update regarding the culvert repair request. It's so great that I have two councilmen here. Excuse me, I have three councilmen here tonight. Great. It's almost a quorum. That's great. So here's our challenge as a Roosevelt Forest Commission. I'll kind of take the lead on this. Pumpkin Ground Brook, the culvert is broken, and that's causing flooding. We sent a drone up in the air. Basically, acres of forest is dying because of flooding and killing the trees. We haven't had the problem in the last 7 months because we've had a drought. But the one thing we do know about the great state of Connecticut, New England weather, it's going to change, and we're going to get rain. And when we get rain, the culvert's broken, and we're going to get water near the trees. And the worst part is the water is encroaching, not crossing, but encroaching private property lines on Barrister Lane. I believe the town has not a formal quote, but heard numbers of between $200,000 and $275,000 to fix this culvert. Can you please check into this and see what's going on? Because as soon as it starts raining, the culvert's going to go. And when we have water like that, that does attract a nuisance animal called the beaver, and they shall return, like MacArthur. And we need to take care of that. Yes, Ms. Manis?
Last week at Building Needs, after Building Needs, I spoke with Mr. Casey, the engineer, regarding the swamps and inland wetlands in District 10. He told me that within the new CIP, there is a considerable amount of money for many of the woodland areas, including District 10. And I mentioned Roosevelt, and he said, yes, we're well aware of the culvert. There are a number of issues with, I don't know if they're drainage and trenches and all kinds of things, but the culvert was one of the things we spoke about. So it's on the radar, and I believe it's in the CIP for 2017, at least what he's put forward as an issue. So John Casey is working on this along with other drainage issues. But again, if there are other things in District 8, 9, which pretty much is all forest, like everybody lives in the forest up here. So if you have other things, small things that are probably related to the waterways, send them forward now so that they can get fixed. It's usually part of a bigger problem, right?
Yeah, we're going to have Ms. Baytow here about other issues in the forest, but those are like the big money items I could think of. Mr. Ford and Mr. Bavacqua, Peter, or Ellen, do you know of any other big money things?
We had been trying to get the culvert underneath the parking lot fixed since I've been on this commission. You know, we've gotten lots of lip service, but no action.
So to ask Mr. Casey specific items. So the big item they know about, make sure that I would think that something from this commission, a letter with bulleted points of these particular things should be sent not just to Mr. Casey, but also to the council so that we can follow up. Because if it gets lost in the sauce, if you send multiple letters to multiple people, it'll get handled. Right. That's what I would do.
Can you follow up, since you're our council representative, on the culvert?
I can, but like you said, I wouldn't have known about that issue with I don't know because I'm new. You know, you guys have been on this commission for years. What needs to happen? What are the things that are the issues? You know, the ranger station was news to me today.
Well, let me just kind of draw back a little bit. This commission's got a brand new pavilion done. We've gotten the nature center done. We've put a fire pipe into the pond. We've redone the parking lot. We've put in some, those cement fire pits we've put in. We've completely redone the fire pit place at the pavilion. And we've marked trails, and we've done a lot of repairs. So the commission has been doing a lot of things. There's certain things that haven't been done, but there's more things that have been done than haven't been done.
Those aesthetic, some of those are aesthetic projects. These infrastructure projects that are like, you're talking about a culvert under a driveway. That is something that if they're working in a big infrastructure and they're bringing in equipment, because they have already said they cannot do that equipment themselves. That has to be bid, it has to be RFP'd or RFQ'd or whatever it is. All of that can happen sometimes together at the same time. So we can couple those projects. I don't even know, maybe the ranger station can happen at the same time with the same equipment.
Well, that's our next thing on that, but.
Exactly. I'm not sure, I'm not in construction, but that would be, what I would say is put it all forward now, because I do know that there's lots of improvements happening in the forests.
Right.
Because it's the pump stations, everything up there is getting looked at.
Perfect. The ranger station demolition, again, I kind of addressed this a couple minutes ago, but I did check. We have $115,000 left for the demolition of the ranger station. I know the good news is this. I think the original estimates were around $150,000, and I'm looking at Mr. Marcone, and I remember a lot of the dangerous freestanding chemicals that were in the ranger station were removed by Brian Carey at a huge expense to this town. I think it was in excess of $30,000 to dispose of this hazardous waste. That is all gone out of the ranger station. I know there's some asbestos tiles, period of time stuff, but most of the bad stuff is gone. I know we were on record saying there's some bad stuff in that house. All the freestanding stuff is gone. Everything else in there is pretty much a tile, asbestos tile, or asbestos pipe wrap or something like that. So I want to rest assured on all that stuff. The dog park, we took care of scout camps. I put it on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before you
Oh,
go
go.
on.
I'm sorry.
Regarding the Rangers Station, you're indicating that all of the hazardous waste, asbestos, et cetera, has been removed already?
No, there was freestanding hazardous stuff like
No, I
bags
understand
of
the
fertilizer, bad
That's-
oil drums. That's all been removed. That was removed probably in 2013.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
There's nothing that I know of. I haven't been in there in about 4 years, but supposedly all that's gone.
Well, the only reason why I asked the question, frankly, was that $115,000 seems an awful lot to remove the ranger station. I had a barn removed a few years ago for $5,000, so, you know.
Vinny, if you can get it done less, go ahead. I'm with you. I thought it was a high number too.
This is a crazy question. If it's got asbestos in it and it's got all that, wouldn't it be covered under our brownfields grants in the town?
Don't go there.
No?
Don't go.
Well, if it's got remediation stuff in it.
No, hold on. You're talking apples and oranges.
Now
We're
you're
talking
talking-
like asbestos tiles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a brownfield. It's nothing like that.
Okay.
It's the ground's fine. It's stuff in the. If you have a house that's over 70 years old, it's a residential
Okay.
abatement. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
It's not a public.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not getting up. The beaver update.
Have we seen them? Are they still around?
We have seen one.
One?
Yeah,
One is okay.
I know. He was a kit.
Just one is okay.
There is a kit behind Pumpkin Ground Road. So.
Is that in the same location as where they had a lodge before?
In the area. I saw him right between my property, the forest, and my neighbor behind me. And it's where the brook is, where Cut Spring Road is.
Yeah.
He was walking up.
Okay.
Or she.
Has anybody, I'm just curious if anybody on the commission has seen any evidence of the dam being restored?
I haven't seen any evidence, but it hasn't rained in about 3 years. All right. The Roosevelt Forest Friends of is on the agenda.
No report.
No report. Thank you. The Facebook page. I have it on. It's just on there. New business, and I kind of wanted to just ask. I'm so glad I got 3 councilmen here because hopefully you can help me. And I've been asked questions on this. The James Farm Road development. Can you give me an update of what's going on at this point?
The planning boards rejected it. It's been in court, and it's still in court at this point.
Okay.
I talked to Attorney Kubik, who's been actively involved in this case, and at this point, he thinks it's going to be a while, quote unquote, before any decision is made by the court.
Excellent. The one thing I want to ask before we have an adjournment for new business next time, if you could put it in the agenda, Roosevelt Forest Dog Subcommittee. I'd like to put that in the agenda for next time. Dog Subcommittee. Any other new business? If none, I'd like to see a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Chase.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vivacqua. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's over at 7:59 p.m. Thank you.